here. But due to the air quality, and also because today is going to be a very warm day in Portland. And so our practice is going to have some standing, but a lot more floor work. We're going to do some work to try to open the lower body up, hopefully by creating a little more space in the lower body. The agitation of the mind maybe can drop into the lower body a bit more, and we can become more grounded again in that way. So that's what our practice is going to look like today. So let's see. So blankets, strap, lugs, bolster if you have. Those things are all useful for what we're going to do today. Yes, indeed. I mean, the air quality, I mean, I'm glad the wind is calmed down some this morning where I am, not so welcome. But to look at the air quality out at the coast, it was over 500. The air quality index was 545 yesterday. So that is some very serious, large particulate matter in the air. And so, and some of us might have seen some of the images of how the satellite imaging of the smoke and how it's traveling over the space of land. Those are quite interesting. I mean, it looks like a cloud, but it's not a cloud. It's a cloud of smoke. So anyway, we are happy that, you know, where I am, I'm glad the wind has died. And hopefully the practice this morning can help to nurture us to be grounded. So let's go ahead and take a comfortable seat. You're welcome to close your eyes. And to drop your attention into the support beneath you. Notice where the sit bones are and how they meet that support. And you're lengthening your spine up towards the sky. And go ahead and bring in your Ujjayi breathing. So we'll still begin our practice with a 1-to-1 ratio on the Ujjayi breath. And can you still work with the smooth quality of your breathing? And as you are balancing the inhale with your exhale, you might also drop your attention into the expansion of your diaphragm. Below your heart, below your lungs, attached on the inner surface of the full 360-degree shape of your rib cage. So see what you notice with your inhale. And also what happens with the exhale as the diaphragm domes up to meet the bottom of the lungs toward the bottom of your heart. The whole time, this movement is powering, is the power behind the oxygenated blood moving toward the heart on the inhale. And on your exhale, delivering those nutrients and oxygen out into your body, back to your lungs. Something like 50,000 times a day. At the bottom of your next exhale, go ahead and release any control on your breath. Join your hands in front of your heart. We'll open the practice chanting the sound of Om, taking a deep inhale. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. And then with your next exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart. Release your hands and lift your gaze. All right, so we will go ahead and come to standing for a moment. We'll come up to standing. Let me just make sure this is all okay. All right. All right, so bringing the feet hip distance. You might check your feet. Are they parallel? And then let's inhale and lift both arms. And exhale, hands back in front of your heart. Inhale, lift both arms. Exhale, Anjali Mudra. One more time, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands back, Anjali Mudra. Release your arms, and then just step your feet a bit wider than the greater trochanters, a little wider than the greater trochanters. And this time, let's inhale and lift your right arm up. And you're gonna exhale and side bend. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release. Excuse me. Inhale, lift your left arm. Reach down into the left heel. Exhale, side bending. Inhale, back to vertical. Exhale, release the arm. Good. Step the feet back to hip distance. Let's even bring the feet together. Inhale, lift both arms. And exhale, hands back in front of the heart. Let's step the feet wide apart. Go ahead and turn your right foot out and your left foot in. You're going to head to warrior two for a moment. Great. So we were talking about, like, where's the center of the pelvis? So if you can, right now, just can you find the pubic bone, your pubic bones? Where's the front of your sacrum? And where's the midpoint between the pubic bones and the front of your sacrum? And that's we're calling the center of the pelvis. Let's inhale, take the arms out, and exhale, warrior two. So from that center of the pelvis, reach all the way in to the back right space between the perineum, the right tailbone, or left tailbone, and left sit bone. So from the center of the pelvis, you're reaching into that back root of the back leg. And then we're going to release the arms, straighten the front leg. We'll spin the feet the other way. Inhale the arms out. And exhale, warrior two, second side. So again, I can go from the center of my pelvis, and even as I bend my front knee, I'm going to reach into the back right root between perineum, right sit bone, and right tailbone. And then let's release the arms down, straighten the front leg, make your feet parallel. If you need blocks, bring them out in front of you. Hands up on your hips. Lift through the top of your breastbone. And let's bow forward. So hands can come down either to your blocks or to the ground. And first, is your pubic bone at the midline between your two legs? Okay, great. And then can we go ahead and can you reach your arms out towards downward dog arms? You might need the blocks still, because I want you to keep the legs straight. And reaching from the inner sit bones on both legs, your inner tailbone, perineum, all the way up to that space between pubic bone and sacrum. Let's walk the hands back. We're going to take a twist. So again, if you use blocks in order to keep the knee straight, please do that. Please keep the blocks available. You're going to bring your right hand, now with the wrists under your shoulders, bring your right hand into the space between the two hands. Reach down into that right hand. Lengthen all the way up through the crown of the skull. So we're going to keep the pelvis stable. Let's take the left hand on your hip. And just begin to twist toward your left. Then we're going to exhale, come back to center. Switch your hands. Right hand comes up on the hip, keeping the pelvis stable. As you reach into the ground, you're turning toward your right. And then we'll exhale, come back to center. Walk the hands back out towards downward dog arms. And then can you step your feet toward each other and come down to your knees. Bring a block behind you, between your heels. Take the hands at the backs of the knees to just kind of pull the flesh of the knees back. So you're sitting in Virasana. If this is not a comfortable place for you, then you could take a cross-legged seat. Let's just pause here for a moment. And let's take the arms. Let's inhale them straight ahead. And exhale, clasp them, pull them towards you, reach them out. Inhale, lift the arms. And we'll exhale, release the arms out, reaching all the way out the heels of the hands. Inhale, the arms straight ahead. Let's change the clasp. We'll draw the hands toward you, elbows wide. Press the hands out. And inhale, lift the arms. So where's the center of the pelvis now? That center between the pubic bone and the front of your sacrum. And where's the center of the diaphragm? The central tendon of the diaphragm is right in the middle. Can you line that up a little better? And then we'll go ahead and release the arms. Okay, very good. All right, so we're going to take a, come up off your block if you're sitting in Virasana. And we're going to take a wide-legged seat, Upavista Konasana. So how much height do you need? Like maybe if I take 2 blankets stacked, these are 2 blankets, and take the legs wide apart. So I want you to take a seat that allows the pelvis to be tilted forward slightly. If you feel like the weight is at the back of your sit bones, then you need a little more height to come up and under you. So you can always take even half your blanket and fold it under your sit bones. So Upavista, we're taking first a vertical seat. Now we're gonna, let's shift the weight. Let's see, let me just come up, let me remember what I was doing here. Oh yeah. So we're gonna shift the weight a little more to the left sit bone. You're gonna shift your weight a little more left. And I'm just starting to shift a little left. I'm taking my right hand maybe on the top of my right thigh. I'm gonna take a little bit of a left side bend. I don't have to go for the most extreme sensation. And then let's come back up. And then let's shift the weight a little towards the right, your right. And you're gonna start to side bend a little to the right, so there's more weight on the right sit bone. And then we're gonna come back up to center. And then let's take your right hand in the space in the middle, your left hand behind you, and you're going to twist to your left. Exhale, come back to center. Switching your hands. You could always have a hand on a block too, depending on how much height you ended up needing. Just taking a gentle twist to the right. And then coming back to center again. Okay, great. All right, so now we're going to, some of us might stay in a vertical orientation. There might be enough like sensation in the body in being vertical. The rest of us, some of us might begin to just come a little forward. Staying on the midline. So the weight is balanced on both sit bones. Then we'll walk back up. Let's take the hands under the knees, pick the knees up. So now we're going to take Baddha Konasana. So some of us are going to need, maybe a little more height for Baddha Konasana, so that when we bring the soles of the feet together, the knees are not higher than these hip points. Give yourself enough height so that those two hip points are at least as high as the knees or higher than the knees. Baddha Konasana. And well, I'm just going to take my hands to my shins. And I'm going to stay in a vertical seat. And from the inner hip joint, I'm going to reach from my inner hip joint towards my inner knee. From my inner hip joint towards my inner knee. And from the outer knee joint, I'm going to reach down towards the ankle. Inner hip joint towards the inner knee. And from the outer knee, I'm going to lengthen towards my ankle. Outer knee joint going towards the ankle. Inner hip, inner thigh to inner knee. Okay, great. And then I'm going to take my hands under my knees, lift them back up to center, and take the legs wide again. But this time when I take them wide, I'm going to turn towards my left leg. So you can turn towards your left. And does the sternum come over are you pointed toward the left leg? And if you're not, then take the legs a little closer together, okay? So I did get rid of a little of my height that I had for Baddha Konasana. Now I'm going to turn my sternum. You're turning towards your left leg. And then I might just start to walk my hands down along the floor. And I'm not going for the most intense sensation. I'm actually more interested in what's happening on the back of the sacrum, the low back, the hip. I'm not that interested in seeing if I can get my shin, my forehead to my shin. And then I'm gonna walk back up to center, turn and face the other leg, sternum towards that thigh, hands on either side of that leg, and I'll walk out a little. And again, I might be noticing that space at the back of the sacrum or outer hip or low back. And then I'm going to come back up to center. All right, let's take hands under the knees, lift the knees back, and let's take the legs just straight ahead for a moment, Dandasana. I can take my hands right on my legs. I can do my, my usual kind of support for my knees. Okay, great. So now let's come down to do our figure 4 stretch. So I'm going to come off my blankets, move them off to the side, lie down on my back. Before I come into the figure 4, right before I come, can we take a moment to remember that deep transversus abdominis, the deepest layer, so that even right now, if you go ahead and lift just the heels, can you feel a wrapping? Can you engage all the way around from the back body, around the abdomen, it meets in the midline. So that's that transversus abdominis. We want that to engage when we pick up the leg. We'll bring the heels back to the ground. Let's cross the right outer heel, the little toe side of the right foot to the top of the left thigh. And then just pick up the heel, find that deep transversus, bring the left leg up. You might clasp your hands or take a strap behind the left thigh. Can you shift the weight to be just a little bit towards the left side of your sacrum so that we're not putting more weight on the right? I'm using the strength at the top of my left thigh, the left quad, to help draw my left knee in so that I don't have to use all this. It's not all about my arms. Alrighty. Then we'll bring the left foot back to the ground, right foot down, and switch sides. So right outer heel, little toe side of the right foot to the top of the right knee. Pick up the right heel, engage that deep abdominal layer, and then bring the knee up. Clasp your hands behind or use a strap. Shift the weight slightly to the right. So you might have the hands behind the thigh, and you're welcome to relax that right, lower leg. The right lower leg doesn't need to be engaged, so let it dangle like a pair of earrings. And is the foot that's up, the left one, does it look like when you're standing on the ground? The shape of that foot, it's not sickled, it's not relaxed, it's actually engaged. The little toe side of the foot is meeting the top of that left thigh. And you might explore that, right thigh, sorry. You might explore that, Ingrid. Is the little toe side of your left foot meeting the top of your left thigh? Because it looks like it's more your ankle that's meeting it. So shift it, yeah, that's gonna change. And if that bothers the knee, go back to the way you had it. Okay, very good. And then let's roll over to one side. Use the arms to push yourself up. Let's grab a blanket to sit upon again. We're gonna take Marichiyasana 3. So right leg straight, left foot on the ground, left hand behind, we're twisting toward the left. So that space from the back of the left hip, the greater trochanter on the left, all the way up to the back of the sacrum on the left. And then let's release that, switch sides. So you can either hold the knee with your hand around the inner elbow. I'm not looking for the most intense twist ever because I haven't done that much warming up. I'm kind of more interested in the space at the back of the pelvis from the back of the right hip across to the back of the right sacrum, across the sacrum, and then we'll come back to center. I'm gonna add a little more height under me because I'm gonna take Baddha Konasana again. And when I do, I know I need a little more height under my pelvis. Bring my soles of my feet back toward each other. I'll just grab onto my shins. I'm gonna go back, and again, I'm gonna remind myself from the inner hip, through the inner thigh, to the inner knee, and from that outer knee joint, the one that's facing down towards the floor, I'm gonna lengthen to the outer ankle. And now some of us might just take the hands to the ground. Some of us will stay vertical. Some of us just might walk a little forward. When we get to a place, if we feel, this is such a great cue for me, if I feel pressure at my inner knee when I walk forward, I know I went a little too far, and I'm just gonna back off of that a little. And then I might just allow my spine to round forward. I don't want any pressure at the inner knee. I don't want my femur to be rotating one way when my lower leg cannot do that as well. Then I'm going to come back up, take my hands under my knees, lift my legs back to center, straighten both legs back to Dandasana. This time I'm going to bring my hands behind me. I'm going to face the fingers toward my feet and just lift up through the top of the chest, the crown of the skull. All right, exhale, release. We're going to take Janu Shashasana. So for this, I'm going to turn my blankets to be a little bit at an angle and take the right leg straight and bend the left knee. Right leg straight, bend the left knee. I am going to face towards my straight leg, but I like to have a little more opening. If the hip joint will let me, I'm going to take my left knee a little more back. But I'm not doing the revolved version, so I'm not taking the legs as wide apart. The right leg is going to be straight ahead. And then I'm going to take my hands on both sides of that. I'm going to make sure that my knee is pointing up to the ceiling. My toes are pointing up to the ceiling. And I'm just going to start to come over my right leg. So my left sit bone starts to get light. And then we'll walk back up. I like to take my hand under my left knee, help lift that leg up. And I'm going to switch to the second side. I'm just going to make a little angle with my blankets. Left leg straight, right knee out. So if my right shin and knee don't touch the ground, also, I'm not going to just leave them hanging in midair. I'm going to put a little blanket or a small dog underneath. Then I'm going to face my straight leg. And just begin to lean forward a little, and the right sit bone starts to get light. Walking my hands forward. Sternum over the leg. And again, I'm not looking for where's the most intense sensation I can find right now. I'm more curious about when I start to feel some change, where I feel this. For example, where I notice this is at right now, the right side of my sacrum, where that meets my right ilia. And then we'll walk back up. Great. I'm going to take my hand under my knee and go back to Dandasana. Both legs straight. This time, I'm going to take my hands on my legs. All right, great. Now, we're going to take another twist. I think this is Ardha Matsyendrasana 1. In other words, bend both knees. And I'm going to take my right heel towards my left sit bone. I'm going to take the left foot across to the other side. And I'm going to be twisting to the left. Now, I know there's more weight on the right side of my pelvis. But I am going to be interested in, can I balance the weight in the joints? That doesn't mean I'm going to have the same weight on the sit bone, but what's happening in the joint space? Then I'm going to exhale, release. Take the other side. I could be sitting on the ground. I don't have to be up on a blanket. I could be on the floor for this. Twisting to the right. Oh, and another kind of nice way to do this, if you take your right hand and just go ahead and grab your left forearm. As opposed to having the hand behind you. Alrighty, exhale, we're gonna come back in. We're gonna come back to center again. And take both legs straight, Dandasana. Okay, so now we're gonna take Gomukhasana legs with, we want to block for that. I'm gonna come off of my blankets, move them out of the way. I'm gonna take a block. Now some of us might need, a block with a blanket on it. I'm gonna take a block and I like to go in front of my block. I'm gonna cross, my right knee's gonna be on top, my left leg behind. And I'm gonna come up and sit on the blanket there. So some of us, let's just start with a little vertical posture. And then for some of you, you might come a little forward. And then we'll come back. And let's take the other side. You can either come off with the prop or just bring right knee under you, left leg on top, so that maybe the knees can be stacked. You might start out vertically, and you might stay vertical the whole time. Otherwise, some of you will start to walk the hands forward. How are things changing while you're here? While you're here, what is changing? What are you noticing? Then let's walk back. All right, want to do the legs. Great. I'm going to come off with my block. And I'm going to take my legs straight one more time. Tandasana legs. Okay, so now I'm going to want my strap. And we're going to do Upavista again, but this time in a reclined Upavista. So this is what we're going to do is you're going to come down on the ground. You're going to take the strap, bring the knees up, take the strap around the heels, and we'll start with the legs vertical. Here. One, then we're going to take the legs wide apart with the strap. The legs, they don't need to be coming toward the face. Whoops, I lost my strap. Here you go. It ran right off the edge. But let's have the strap in front of the heels. Resting here for a moment. You're supporting the legs with the strap. All right, then you're going to bring the legs back to vertical. Take the strap, and I'm going to grab a little closer towards my feet with my strap. Then I'm going to wrap it like around the back of my hands. And then you're going to take this to a reclined Baddha Konasana. So now you've got the strap is holding the feet together. The knees are wide apart. And then, once again, as you lengthen from the inner hip to the inner knee, and from the outer knee towards the ankle, the outer ankle, let's begin to lower the legs toward the ground. Got the strap to support that lowering. And again, you can hold the strap with your hands. It's holding the feet together. And then you'll let go of your strap and bring the knees toward each other. Okay. And then let's roll over to one side and press yourself up. Okay, so now let's take, if you have a bolster, you could use a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, then you're going to take one of your blankets on your mat where you folded it lengthwise. You'll take another blanket and put it on top of that one. I like to have the rolled ends toward me, and I staggered it just a tad bit, like just a couple inches. Then I'm going to take either another blanket or a pillow or something, and that's going to go to be under my head. That, and then I'm going to need my blocks again. All right, so you're gonna sit in front of your stack, either your bolster or your blankets. Soles of the feet are toward each other, and the blocks are gonna go underneath the outer knees. So there's the Baddha Konasana legs. I'm not gonna pin my sacrum to the stack. When I come back, the sacrum is kind of floating there. And then I'm going to pull that blanket to go right under my head, arms out, resting for just this reclined, supported Baddha Konasana. And I'm just allowing myself to kind of notice how my body releases and rests into this. What do you notice happening in your body right now? All right, then you can go ahead and bring the knees up. So bring the knees together, feet to the floor. Roll over to one side and use your arms to push yourself back up. And we're going to take another kind of heart opening pose. So let's see, let's take a blanket, and it's going to be, I'm going to take the short, this is opened up, I'm going to lie it on my mat, and then I'm going to put another blanket on top of that one. Because this morning when I did it, I used a bolster. So if you have a bolster, you can use a bolster instead of two blankets. If we don't, then we're going to have two blankets on top of each other, and I'm going to roll them up. I'm going to see what size that is. Now I'm going to like wrinkles out of there. I want to see how big is that. Okay. So those two blankets roll together. And then I'm gonna, if I have one more blanket open like this, I'm gonna make another roll. So it'll be smaller than that one. So there's just kind of this transition place. Okay. Let's see how this. Now I'm gonna, the way I'm gonna do this is my pelvis is gonna be on this side a little bit. So when I come down, my pelvis is over one side. This, a second blanket is kind of like a down ramp. So if I had a bolster, the bolster would be here, still have a blanket here, and I'd come down here. This could be, I could even have made this bigger, I can tell, but this is all right. Some of us will probably want the feet on the ground, and some of you might like the legs being straight. Or another option, now that I'm here, would be my feet, when I take my legs straight, I might have them up on some blocks like that. That feels really pretty nice. So you could either have the knees bent, feet on the ground, or the heels elevated on blocks. Again, the tail, my tailbone is on the other side of this stack. Okay, my tailbone is going down, away from my my diaphragm. It's going the other way. So that as you lie back, there's some space that might be able to open between the transverse colon and the diaphragm. So that there may be this opening through the center of the body. Some of you will be more happy with your knees bent, feet on the ground. Then, if your knees are not bent, go ahead and bend your knees. And you can either migrate toward your head, slowly bringing the pelvis, down to the ground for a moment, or you can roll onto one side. All of us, though, are going to end up rolling to one side and pushing ourselves back up. And then we're going to take like that little rolled up stack or your bolster, whichever you've got, for a reclined Jatara Parvottanasana, right? So we're going to take, I'm going to take actually 2 blocks. Let's see, if I take 2 blocks and I'm going to put them to the side of my yoga mat, I'm going to take my stack and put it on top of those blocks so they're more elevated. And then arms out wide. When I lie down, I'm going to bring my knees up and take the shins over and rest them up on that stack. So the right arm is going to be out to the side. I'm going to rest my shins up on the stack. I noticed that I could actually be a little ways away from this stack. So I'm going to get a better opening so that I'm actually lying more toward the outer left hip. So you might need some padding there. And the back of the right shoulder blade is open. And then we'll come back up to center. And you can just either turn your body around or move your stack, whatever's easiest for you. Arms out wide. And then twisting the lower body to the right. And the upper body is neutral. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to center. You're going to transition yourself to, lining everything up on your mat, from your nose, throat, heart, navel, pubic bone. And we're going to draw the knees into the chest. So both knees up into the chest. And then can you go ahead and take happy baby pose, grabbing onto either the backs of the thighs, the shins, or the little toe side of your feet. And here you might explore what happens when you bring the feet a little closer, what happens at the back of the pelvis. Where's the right spot for you today? How far apart do you want your feet to be right now? And then please bring yourself to your Shavasana. Whatever support and then beginning to deepen your breath. Mindfully making that transition over to one side, taking your time to come back up to sitting. hands in front of your heart. Thank you, everyone. I hope your practice feels nourishing